Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the May 21st, 2018 edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE. And taking a look back at this past week's important events in the world of the WWE, all roads right now are in a direction heading towards the Money in the Bank pay-per-view event coming up in June. Raw and SmackDown this past week both took place in London in the UK, and both also took place at the O2 Arena. There was lots of new developments pertaining to both the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches for that night, as well as some additional announcements which will affect that pay-per-view as well. So beginning with Monday Night Raw, a week ago on May the 14th, Roman Reigns opened the show in London and got a heavy chorus of boos from the crowd there, I might add, and he came out just complaining about Jinder Mahal and how Jinder Mahal cost him his spot in the Money in the Bank qualification match from the week before on Monday Night Raw. Basically also voicing out that he feels he's been getting screwed lately by WWE management, etc. He was soon interrupted by Raw General Manager Kurt Angle, who came out and informed Roman Reigns that management has decided that they will not give Roman Reigns another shot at the Money in the Bank ladder match. He apologizes to Roman, saying it's not his call. It was what, Stephanie McMahon, the commissioner, decided to make as a judgment call. Roman Reigns then proceeds to head backstage and take matters into his own hands by finding Jinder Mahal and attacking him. And Jinder Mahal was also scheduled to appear in the main event triple threat match, which was another Money in the Bank qualification match. So this attack from Roman Reigns put Jinder's health for the night in serious jeopardy. Besides this, the first match of the night was for the Intercontinental Championship. Seth Rollins has been giving open challenges recently, and this week his opponent was Kevin Owens. And something interesting worth noting, I was actually thinking about this in the last few weeks, and it's interesting that this comment was made on Monday Night Raw this night. Just the feeling I've been getting recently watching how Seth Rollins has been on quite a roll. The commentators have certainly voiced their opinions about this, how he's been possibly the hottest competitor in the WWE over the last few months. Part of me feels like all these facts coupled with his being on the cover of the new WWE 2K18 video game leads me to believe that Seth Rollins is now going to be getting a major push back into the top championship category. Even though he is the Intercontinental Champion, which is certainly a distinguished, revered championship, a very historical belt in the WWE. Any fans could tell you that it's not the top championship. Right now in the WWE, of course, for the men's division, there are two, which are both sort of on equal standing as the top belts, one being the Universal Championship on Monday Night Raw, and the other being the WWE Championship on SmackDown Live. And I certainly would not be surprised if, even while Seth Rollins retains his Intercontinental Championship, they start giving him a push towards the top championship status. His popularity has been through the roof lately, while WWE has been pushing Roman Reigns at the fans for several years now, trying to get him really over with the crowd. This plan seems to have really kind of fallen apart and failed. There's been times, I'll admit, where it appeared Roman Reigns' popularity was sort of on the upswing, but, as evidenced again just by this past Monday in London there, most wrestling fans appear not to really love and embrace the idea of Roman Reigns being the babyface fan favorite of the company right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if the WWE explores possibilities with other people to sort of, I guess, no pun intended, take the reins as being the top guy in the company. And so after that long-winded explanation, why I also, besides these feelings I've been having lately while watching WWE programming, Michael Cole, commentator Michael Cole on Monday Night Raw, made a comment that Seth Rollins tweeted out on Twitter recently, Brock Who, hashtag Brock Who. So, of course, which is directed at Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, who has held that belt since last year's WrestleMania. So we're talking, 13 months or beyond, almost 14 now. So the guy's been truly dominant the past year when he has decided to appear. And maybe, that is starting to become an issue even more so with the company, that he's only still appearing about 4, 5, 6 times per year, something like this. If the fan base would embrace Seth Rollins, I could see the WWE also embracing him maybe as the next the guy to sort of, as Vince McMahon would say, grab that brass ring. So, anyways, that just certainly something worth noting and keeping an eye on. But I have a feeling there could be a change of the guard soon, and that Seth Rollins might be the guy, vying for that big belt could be the better part of this whole year. We shall see. Moving along in the storyline. So with that Intercontinental title match there, the aforementioned one against Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins did retain, was successful in a very hard-fought battle between both guys. Both of these guys are quite solid in the ring, so they put on a really good match. Another announcement, which was very big on Monday Night Raw, at a promotional event in New York City that the WWE was a part of, as well as people from the NBC Universal company. Nia Jax confronted Ronda Rousey on the red carpet while Ronda Rousey was talking with Charlotte Flair, and Nia Jax challenged Ronda Rousey for her championship, the Raw Women's Championship at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which is pretty huge. So Ronda Rousey, despite just making her in-ring debut in the WWE a little over a month ago at WrestleMania, is now being challenged for the top belt on Monday Night Raw against Nia Jax. So I can imagine the WWE is really eager to give her that spot because she's such a big name and certainly has so many fans in her own right. So I think this is not a good thing for Nia Jax, the performer, because Ronda Rousey, I think, and for every which reason, you can imagine that she's probably going to become champion sooner than later. And then, also have some feuds with some people and some programs. It's going to be interesting to see who she does work with over this first year and with the company. There is a lot of great women talent in the division, both the Raw and SmackDown women's divisions. So a lot of great names to pick and work with. So, it'll be interesting. Certainly a challenge for her in her first title match against Nia Jax. Besides this, another Money in the Bank qualification match, which occurred on Monday Night Raw, was a triple threat match featuring No Way Jose, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Roode. In this match, Bobby Roode was victorious, making him the, I believe, 5th guy qualifying out of the 8. Either way, if I'm not right about which order of the 8 participants he's qualified as one of the 8. We can say that. I can say that for certainty. Also, in other news, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, who have, of course, been aligned with The Miz in the Miztourage for better part of the last year, have since broken up with him since The Miz moved over to SmackDown Live, and these two guys remained on Monday Night Raw. They have now renamed themselves the B Team, which is, in their own words, supposed to stand for the best team. So they are now called the B Team. Besides this, we also learned of a new development of a program between Sami Zayn and recently returned Bobby Lashley. Sami Zayn came down to the ring and basically started to berate Bobby Lashley for making such a fuss about his return after 10 years away. And soon after his return in a match, when he was performing a stand-up suplex on Sami Zayn and held Zayn in the air for quite an extended period of time, it resulted in Sami Zayn experiencing vertigo And so they're using this as sort of the basis. His jealousy about him, Sammy's jealousy of Bobby Lashley getting all this attention and whatnot, looking as the platform setting up this feud. Sami Zayn continued by saying that on the following week's edition of Monday Night Raw, which will air tonight, he will expose the truth about Bobby Lashley. And it sounds like he has invited Bobby Lashley's sisters onto Monday Night Raw, so looks like they're getting some family drama going involved in this program, which is, I don't know, it's a feud I wasn't expecting to occur, but I suppose a good one, certainly for Bobby Lashley to kind of get reintroduced back into the company. Sami Zayn is one of the best talents in the company, a very safe worker, so I can see that, and since he's been a heel character now for quite some time, I can see that making sense to make Bobby Lashley look like the all-American tough good guy. So that's a program we'll see certainly for the next month, possibly longer. In addition, there was another women's Money in the Bank qualification match, which was, again, a triple threat match featuring Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James versus Bayley. And as any viewer who has been watching wrestling, the WWE in the past few months can tell you, Alexa Bliss and Mickie James have become quite good friends, best friends they'll probably say. So it was almost in actuality a handicap match with Alexa and Mickie beating up on Bayley. So not surprisingly, one of the two of them was victorious, which was Alexa Bliss. And the main event of the night was, again, another Money in the Bank qualification match featuring, this was, again, a triple threat match, and it was involving Elias taking on now Kevin Owens, who was replacing the injured Jinder Mahal after his several beatings by Roman Reigns backstage. After Jinder had been cleared by the doctors to fight, even though he was at less than 100%, Roman Reigns attacked him backstage once more, so rendering him unable to compete. So it's Elias versus Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley. And Sami Zayn interfered on his good friend Kevin Owens' behalf. And something that was interesting worth noting, and I'm going to watch this carefully from now on and see if this stipulation is true. Michael Cole commented that there is no disqualifications in triple threat matches, which was why it was fine that Sami Zayn interfered very openly in front of the referee, attacking Bobby Lashley again to start up spark their feud a bit more. So I don't know if that's really true or if they just made that up for this particular instance. So that's something I'm going to monitor and see if they actually are holding their word on that. So that is pretty much it. I'm going to review all the competitors that have qualified for the men's and women's Money in the Bank match after I discuss the details from SmackDown Live, just because there's lots of these qualification matches coming every single week, and it's kind of difficult to keep track, especially now that both matches have expanded to 8 individuals in each match. So it's a crowded group for each match, so it's kind of difficult to keep track of everybody who is involved. But that is more or less all the important stuff that was going down on Monday Night Raw. So fast forwarding now to SmackDown Live the following night on May the 15th, also again in London in the UK. There was another Money in the Bank qualification match for the men, and this one was a bit of an interesting one where it was a tag team match between the New Day and The Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus, and the winning team of this match gets to select one individual of their tag team to appear in the Money in the Bank qualification match, in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Too much saying qualification matches and too many. Anyways, so in that match, New Day were victorious. So they, since they have 3 members in their group, Big E, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston, one of these guys, though they have not yet announced it, will be participating in the men's Money in the Bank match. We also were treated to the debut on Tuesday night to Andrade Cien Almas with his manager Zelina Vega. And Cien Almas took on a local competitor there in London, which was really kind of a nod to the old school way of doing this, where back in the old WWE Wrestling Superstars programs, that's mainly what we got to see, was one of the top names always taking on some jobber, some no-name guy. So anyways, in his debut, which was, I think, also a little bit of a mistake to put him up against a local nobody who's not even on the WWE roster. I don't know. He certainly looked good and had an impressive skill set, but it'll be even more interesting to see him matched up against, the regular roster performers. So we'll see how much of a push this man gets, but he was certainly impressed in his on main roster debut. Besides this, there was also on SmackDown Live for Carmella what they were calling a Royal Mellabration, celebrating her recent championship cash-in for the Money in the Bank cash-in, and she also was successful defeating Charlotte Flair at her first pay-per-view match with her. Soon after, general manager of SmackDown Live, Paige, interrupted the Mellabration and informed Carmella that she will be defending her title against or at Money in the Bank, and she will not only be defending it, but against one of the top female competitors in the company, Asuka. So that spells a lot of trouble for Paige, as in my opinion, Asuka is pretty much the best female wrestler there is right now. And that's saying a lot, because there are many, many great, talented women in the company right now, and I believe Asuka to be the most impressive in-ring worker, certainly among all of them. So the best actual wrestler, in my opinion. So that's will be interesting to see if Asuka will soon claim her first championship at Money in the Bank. We also were treated to another women's Money in the Bank qualifying match. And again, a triple threat featuring Becky Lynch, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. The latter two members, of course, a part of formerly Absolution, which was involving Paige as their leader. But this is no longer the case. That at least it appears that they are now springing off and competing individually, but they certainly work together on a number of occasions. Despite this, though, Becky Lynch was able to secure the victory, qualifying now for her spot in the 8 competitors in the women's Money in the Bank match. And the main event of SmackDown Live was a WrestleMania and Greatest Royal Rumble WWE Championship rematch against Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles, though I should quickly point out that this was not for the WWE Championship. There was a special stipulation involved in this matchup, though, which was it was already declared apparently that these two, after a series of no contest results in these previous a few of their previous matchups, will once again compete for the WWE Championship at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And this matchup on SmackDown Live was to determine, the winner will get to determine what the stipulation will be at their matchup, their title match at Money in the Bank. So I guess certainly some significance for this match, even though now that we've seen it several times, it's losing a bit of its luster. Overall, I've been I feel a little bit let down with so much hype for several months leading up to the WrestleMania matchup, and that match being good but not great. I don't know. I really hope that they do something and make it a worthwhile matchup at Money in the Bank, considering that the last two have been really disappointing outcomes. That really, and frankly, in my opinion, you shouldn't see many of these on pay-per-views where people are paying money to see these results. So, now, having said that, Shinsuke Nakamura, who of course is now, since WrestleMania, since following the match at WrestleMania, has turned to a heel character bad guy. He can continue with these antics, and during the course of this match, pretended that AJ Styles had given him a low blow and was crying out, screaming to the ref, which caused some confusion and distraction. And once AJ and the ref were sort of confronting one another, Nakamura was able to put a finishing move on AJ Styles and secured the victory. Shinsuke Nakamura has yet to inform the WWE Universe what his choice of stipulation will be for Money in the Bank, but certainly it'll be something much to his advantage. And we'll see if this will be finally the nail in the coffin of this feud, and at least maybe if Shinsuke Nakamura will secure a championship. Actually, I shouldn't. I question my call on now, and I think this feud will not be over just yet, considering that so many of these contests have had non-decisions or no contest results. I can see these guys having a few back and forth where there's proper results, a real victor. So now that I'm thinking about it, I suspect that this will persist a little bit longer beyond Money in the Bank. But certainly Shinsuke Nakamura is now using every trick to his disposal to try and capture victory and capture the WWE Championship. So that pretty much does it, gang. It's right now WWE is just smack and dab in the middle of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view build-up. So we're certainly going to learn more about the developments towards this pay-per-view tonight and tomorrow night and in the following weeks. I did say, however, that I would mention now of all the people who have officially qualified for both the men's and women's Money in the Bank matches. The men's have 7 of the 8 competitors already determined, whereas the women's match only has 4 of the 8 determined. And if I recall correctly, the women's initially only had 6 competitors. I think they changed that in the last week up to 8, so it is on par with the men's. So I think that might explain why they are behind by naming a few qualified participants in the women's match. But anyways, the men's match, the 7 people who have qualified already include Bobby Roode, The Miz, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Rusev, Kevin Owens, and one of the New Day tag team members, which has yet to be named. So, and if my math is not off, then that's how it should be. That 7 of the 8 have qualified, and we're still awaiting one more. And on the women's side, you already got 4 of the 8, and this foursome, I gotta say, is already impressive enough. You got Charlotte Flair, newcomer Ember Moon, Alexa Bliss, and Becky Lynch as 4 of the 8 that are already going to be in this match. 3 of which already are former champions. So I already like the looks of that matchup. I think it's going to be a great one. I think both will be really good, but the women's already is shaping up to be possibly better. So that is now officially it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel below if you liked what you heard, and certainly feel free to leave any questions or comments below. Thanks very much for listening, and see you next time.